What's up? How's it going? So for today's episode, it's going to cover the introverts of my audience, and I get this question a lot. I get the question whether or not introverts are in a social disadvantage, and I feel for them because I often hear the same pain points, same concerns, whether or not overthinking is a bad thing in terms of social interactions, whether or not introverts are going to ever be as charismatic as extroverts, whether or not introverted people are really introverts or ambiverts. I mean, I get a lot of these different kinds of questions. So for today's episode, I'm really going to go delve deep into the world of introverts, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why introverts can, in many ways, be at a social advantage. Not a disadvantage, but at an advantage. Now, before I get that part started, let's first really understand what an introvert is. An introvert is often mistaken as someone who's really quiet or someone who's socially awkward or shy. And that's a big misconception because that's technically not the definition of an introvert. Someone who is introverted in nature is someone who basically needs to re energize after a certain level of social interactions. So, believe it or not, you may know a lot of people that are introverted, but you don't even know because they are very charismatic when they are in social interactions. They are able to communicate very harmoniously with other people. And when you talk to them, you're like, yo, are you an extrovert or an introvert? They'll say, well, I'm actually an introvert. I actually have to go home, unwind, do my own thing for a while. So in that scenario, yes, introverts can be very charismatic, and introverts aren't necessarily shy or socially awkward. So that's one misconception. But just to flip the coin and talk about the other perspective, a lot of extroverts can actually be shy. I want to give you a little. I want you to picture this real quick. Picture your past few social interactions or your group settings, and picture that one person that is always there. He or she is in every single social interaction, but this person doesn't really say much. And when you do try to talk to this person, they get pretty nervous. Believe it or not, this is a case of a shy extroverted person. This person loves being around people, but still is shy at the end of the day. So that's one of the biggest things I want you to understand about extroverted people and introverted. It really depends on energy levels. Do you get energized after human interactions, or do you need to energize after human interactions? And just to add a little bit of nuance into this, I do believe your mood does play a big factor in your personality. So I do think you can be introverted on some days, extroverted on some days. I have seen that happen. And I've also seen people as they've aged, they went from extroverted to more introverted. That's something that I'll cover in tonight's email. But yeah, so let's really delve deep into can introverts have a social advantage or are they always in a social disadvantage? So there's two parties. You are going to be in a disadvantage if you are being an introvert in social interactions. What do I really mean by that? Introverted as a whole is when you are thinking inwards, when you're introspecting a lot, when your mind is running a little too much. And in social interactions, one thing that you do want to avoid is that you do want to avoid overthinking in these scenarios. Being Introspecting in itself isn't a bad thing, but introspecting in social interactions is a very, very bad thing because now you're going to overthink a lot of small movements. You're going to think, oh, did I say the right words? Oh, wait, are all these people analyzing me? Oh, well, you're going to magnify small things. So having introverted behaviors during a social interaction can be detrimental, and those are the people that are at a disadvantage. Now let's talk about people who can use it as an advantage. The people that use it as an advantage are the people that leverage the number one most important. People don't really think about you that much in their head, right? Absolutely. I mean, absolutely, as in they don't think about you that much in their head because I want you to research the spotlight effect where every single person thinks that they are being watched more than they really are. So if I'm talking to someone, in my perspective, I would think, oh, whoa, I'm being watched, while in their perspective, they're thinking they're being watched. So yeah, no one really thinks about you as much as you personally think about you. And that's just known as the spotlight effect, where we are the center of our own worlds. But in order to use, if you are an introvert and you want to have a social advantage, what you have to do is you have to combine two facets of interactions. The number one most important thing in any social interaction is being present. So earlier I said you don't want to be thinking, you don't want to be introspecting too much. You want to be present. So that's number one. If you're an introvert or an extrovert or whatever, you gotta stay present. But two, and this is where introverts can genuinely be in an advantage, they do pick up a lot of things that a lot of other people don't. And in this case, you are mixing in being present with thinking in a strategic way. So you're not overthinking, but you're strategically thinking. I want to give you a situation about that. So say I'm having an interaction with Peter, and we're talking, we're having a very fun conversation. And then out of the blue moon, I start talking about business. And when I'm talking about business, Peter starts avoiding eye contact. His voice starts getting softer. He keeps touching his neck. He's showing a lot of uncomfortable body language. Now, for someone who is just present, he may just keep the conversation going. But someone that's, say, introverted, who's present, but is also able to think, do strategic thinking, he's going to see that Peter is clearly a little flustered by this topic, and he's strategically going to navigate around that topic. That's being socially dynamic 101. So the ultimate point of this video is to tell you that I want you to be able to use your powers for good. Be able to use your introvertedness in strategic manners. Don't just say, "Oh well, I'm introverted. I can't, be socially intelligent. I can't be charismatic." You absolutely can, and you'll be surprised to know how many there are in this planet right now. So use these tips. Use the tips of being present and be a strategic thinker, and that's how you're going to build your social intelligence over time. In the beginning stages, you are going to be thinking in the little Peter scenario that I gave you, but eventually, after executing it enough times, that level of thank you, Brian. I appreciate you. I'm gonna start doing these more, and stay tuned for my YouTube video tomorrow, where I'm gonna discuss this more in detail. But yeah, in the beginning stages, you are going to be thinking a lot more, but eventually it's going to turn into instinct. So it doesn't matter if you're introverted, it doesn't matter if you're extroverted. Ultimately, in order to be socially intelligent, it is a skill set. That's what they call it, social skills. It's something that you can pick up over time. All you have to do is you have to be able to strengthen your social muscle along the way. And if you do want to strengthen your social muscle along the way, go on and subscribe to the free daily newsletter that I provided a link to. And this is a newsletter where I'm going to give you free daily tips to help you level up your charisma, your confidence, and your social intelligence. Completely free, and it's on a daily basis. So you're going to level up a lot of soft skills that you don't hear on like the mainstream, Google, your school system, all of that stuff. So it should be fun. And do I have any other questions? All right. Stay tuned for tonight's email. You'll definitely enjoy it if you enjoyed this Periscope. And I will be launching the YouTube video tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. All right. Thanks everyone for joining.